que está diciendo?
Nobody's ever heard of it. It's going to be a record.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You make an announcement for next year. Yes, sir. Smart. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. How are you? These are nice cards. Is this the card?
Yep, this is the card. Yep.
Ryan from last year. Yeah, 23. So pretty amazing job he's done. Pretty amazing. And this is the team behind him here. Fantastic. Nice to see you.
Great. President, thanks for having us.
Congratulations. Thank you. We had to do it. Somebody had to do it, right? Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have a very special day for a lot of reasons, actually, if you really think about it. But this is a day because Roger Penske is a great friend of mine. I've known him a long time. He received a few years ago the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest award in the country outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's sort of the civilian version of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And I watched him win his 18th Indianapolis 500. And now I just said, did you win 19? He said, well, actually, we won 20. He won 2 more since then. So that was like 5 years ago. And he won 2 more since then. And just well-deserving. If you look, Germany, Japan, the countries, they spend billions of dollars trying to win Indy. And I guess they do it sometimes, but not much. But he's done it 20 times. So he must know something about cars and racing, and trucks, too, by the way. He knows a lot about trucks. But he's been a very special guy, and he's brought some of our outstanding racing champions with tremendous courage and guts and grit. Hello, fellas. I didn't see you guys over there. That's a good-looking couple of teams, too. They have a lot of courage. And we'll see you in a second. So we're joined by the 2023-2024 NASCAR champion, Ryan Blaney, and Joey Logano. That's really fantastic, fellas. That's great. Get that car going, like as an example, on average, how fast will you?
About 190.
About 190, you can have it. I don't want to go, but 190, that's fantastic. And on a straightaway, you'll go how much?
About 190, 200.
190 to 200. Well, it takes a special genetic, you know that, right? It's genes. Not only it's genes, really. Most people couldn't do that. Very few people could do it. The 2023 and 2024 Indianapolis 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden. Hey, Joseph. And the 2025 champions of the 24 Hours of Daytona, Felipe Nasser, Nick Tandy, and Lawrence Ventura. This is just a celebration of racing, and it's a celebration of Roger and his great success and his life, and these incredible champions who really do what very few people could do. Mentally, psychologically, it's a big factor here, like it is in all sports, really, but you need a great physical ability. People that do this, they don't realize what great athletes they are. It's just not the car. I had a friend, he's a very successful guy, but he was a driver and started off, he wanted to be a race car driver. He wanted to be like you. He wanted to be just like Joey Logano. and he had it for business, but he didn't have it he said, I just couldn't compete with the good drivers. He couldn't do it no matter what he did. And he got lucky. He went into business and made a lot of money. He was very successful. But he said, I couldn't press the accelerator down all the way, and the best drivers could. So there was just a difference. It was really bad. I never forgot that story. But these are great champions, and it's a great sport. And what you've done in Indianapolis also with the track and everything has been incredible. I mean, it's really incredible. People tell me it's been amazing. I'll have to get there. I'm going to have to get there maybe this year with you. But
Open invitation.
well, thank you very much. Thank you. We did Daytona. We went around the track in the Beast, what's called the Beast, with the thick windows and the whole thing. And you're not supposed to hear anything, but I heard the fans, they were going crazy outside. So it was a great honor. So I just wanted to welcome them to the White House, a special place, very, very special place. And we love champions, and these are the greatest champions in the world. These are the greatest champions in racing, and it's an honor to have you all. And thank you very much. All of you, thank you very much. I wouldn't ride in that thing if you paid me. How fast will that go?
240 plus.
240.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Weapon.
Two-time winner of the Indianapolis 500 consecutively, right?
Yes, sir.
So what the hell are you doing? What do you eat?
A
Is
lot
there
of
what
milk.
stuff?
Drinking a lot of milk, hopefully.
Okay, I'm going to take some. And that one is pure speed and endurance, right?
Correct, sir.
Speed and endurance. Is that car a very different car than, let's say, this one? Very different?
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Made for,
You gotta last so many hours,
right.
and we all share the car, so three
A
drivers,
totally different engine.
different engines,
Everything's different.
everything.
And you go, is it 24 hours?
Yeah.
That's a long time. And that car just, there's no let up. It's just constant, right? That's it. Congratulations. That's endurance. Endurance is a big factor in life and success, I can tell you. So you guys have it. Well, thank you very much. Would you like to ask Roger or any of these champions any questions while we're here? Yeah.
You started the morning saying be cool, and then
Be
just a
cool.
few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through what you were thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, you know, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, you know, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. You know, it's one of those things they don't know how quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well. And they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75. And they all want to come, and they want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen. They'll call John, they'll do somebody, they'll go through somebody, but they're all calling, how do we do this? They all want to make a deal. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them, if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible. A man like Roger Penske, I don't want to get him in trouble with China, so I won't, but he would know that you have to, someday you have to cut the bow and you have to do what you have to do, right, Roger? And that's what I did, and I'm very happy to have done it.
Yeah, Mr. President,
Was there anyone?
the Prime Minister of Greece just told Breitbart's Matt Boyle that he thinks absolutely the European Union and the United States could work out a trade deal that's win-win and, quote, mutually beneficial to both sides. What do you think about the Prime Minister's comments, and do you think a deal could be struck with the European Union?
First of all, I know him. He's a good man, and I appreciate his comments. Yeah, a deal could be made with every one of them. A deal's going to be made with China. A deal's going to be made with every one of them. And there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. They will be fair deals for everybody, but they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry, and you can't do that. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. We don't have a debt for fun. They have it for a reason. And people took advantage of our country, and they ripped us off for decades. I've been thinking about this for decades. If you ever saw me on television, I was young like these guys. And it was a good old days, I'll tell you, Roger. But I was like these guys, young, and I was talking about it. Nothing changed, and nothing was done about it. Then I did it. In my first term, I did it, and did it well. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China and others, and I started the process. But then we had to fix up from the COVID mess caused by China. We had to fix up from that, and we did a good job of doing it. And when we handed back the reins after a rigged election, and when we handed back the reins, the stock market was higher than it was before COVID coming in. So, you know, we did a great job, but we didn't have time to do the big thing, which we're doing now. And it's, you know, it's like a patient is sick. You have to do surgery. Patient is very, very sick. And Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble, economically and in every other way. They let China run away with things. They let other countries run away with things. And maybe worst of all, in a certain way, is what they did at the border. We had people pouring into our country by the millions. Many of them were murderers and drug lords and thieves and people from prisons from all over the world. And there were people from mental institutions, insane asylums. They were taking their mentally insane, and they were dumping them into our country. And I'll tell you, Tom Homan and Kristi Noem are doing a fantastic job in removing them. And now the courts, the Supreme Court just gave us numerous good rulings where we have to be able to get them out. You had other judges trying to take over the system. And think of it, they take over. They want these people coming back. Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, the Venezuela jails that cut off the fingers of a man in Colorado. They cut off his fingers because he called the police looking for help. They said, "Did you call the police?" He said, "Yes, I did." "Put your hand down," and they cut off the fingers. This is what they want to bring these people back now. And I want to thank the president of El Salvador for the job he's done, because that's the way it has to be done. It's too bad. Yeah, please.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades. How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy, whoever the hell that is. That's really nice. I appreciate that question. No, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, see, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. It's really, I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country is going to be. There'll be nothing like it, and people investing in our country, they're going to do better than they've ever done before. We have more car manufacturers, Roger, coming into our country now. Speaking of cars. We've never seen anything like it. And they're coming in because of the election, but they're coming in because of the tariffs, because they don't want to pay 25 or 50 or whatever it may be. They don't want to pay that. They can't pay that. We had 3 cancellations in Mexico, building a plant. They're all coming into the United States. Canada, they're coming in. From China, they're coming in from everywhere. And that's just cars. We have chip makers coming. We're the biggest chip maker in the world from Taiwan, coming in, spending $3 billion to build plants, and mostly a big plant. This is a hell of a plant when you spend the kind of money that they're going to go $200 to $300 billion, not million. You know, you'd say million would be the right number. It's not $200 to $300 billion. Think of that, $300 billion. If you look at Apple is going to spend $500 billion building a plant. They wouldn't be doing that if I didn't do this. They'd just keep building them in China. And that's unsustainable. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but I appreciate the question. And, you know, interestingly, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy, they they've wanted to do this for years, but they never had a president that had the guts to do it, because it does take guts, believe me.
Was it the bond markets that persuaded you to reverse
No, I
course?
was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America. We're liberated from all of the horrible deals that were made, all of the horrible trade deals that were made. And I was helped by people just like this, senator, congressman, and friends, right? And we had great help in the Senate. Our Republican senators have been amazing. They stood tall. And likewise in the House. And John Thune has done an amazing job. Barrasso has done an amazing job. I can't think of a senator, really. We had tremendous support. We got a bill passed the other day with almost unanimous support in the Senate. And I think we're going to get that in the House, too. And I have to tell you that Mike Johnson is a great speaker. He's done a fantastic job. We had a majority of 1. Now we have a majority of 7. And you don't realize how big 7 is until you have a majority of 1. 7 sounds like so much. But we're doing well. But Mike Johnson and John Thune have done a really great job.
Mr. President, what influenced your decision? Did you speak with anyone? Jamie Dimon? Did you speak with anyone?
Well, I watched Jamie Dimon on Maria Bartiromo's show this morning, and he was very good. He said that actually made the statement to effect that something had to be done with the tariffs and trade. He said that. He said, look, at some point, but he said something has to be done with tariffs and trade. He understood it. He's very smart and very genius financially. He's done a fantastic job at the bank. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. Anybody that's even a little bit smart knows it. It wasn't sustainable what was happening. Somebody had to pull the trigger. I was willing to pull the trigger. This should have been done long ago. Just like Biden should have stopped the border long ago. I mean, allowed 21 million people plus into our country, many of whom should never have been allowed out of prisons and jails. They came out of prisons and jails from all over the world. And now we're getting them out, bringing them back to their countries. But it should have never been done. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, would you consider exempting some U.S. companies, maybe some larger companies who have been hit hard in the markets the last few days during this 90 days?
As time goes by, we're going to take a look at it. There are some that have been hard. There are some that, by the nature of the company, get hit a little bit harder, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah. Just instinctively, more than anything else. I mean, you almost can't take a pencil to paper. It's really more of an instinct, I think, than anything else.
Credibility like? Because you said that these tariffs would go into effect on Monday. You said no pause. Today there is a pause. So how can people believe your word today?
It's not a question of that. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what. And keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider, I think in financial markets, because they change. Look how much it changed today. We went from, pretty moderate today, but over the last few days, it looked pretty glum to, I guess they say it was the biggest day in financial history. That's a pretty big change. And I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible. Like he's asking the question about some companies. Some companies, through no fault of their own, they happen to be in an industry that is more affected by these things than others. You have to be able to show a little flexibility. And I'm able to do that. I'm going to say hello to these champions because they are great champions. I got to say hello.
To avoid more escalation.
I love that tire. That's very nice. So do you guys want to take your polls down? Yes. We took it down.
national policy.
El presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, participa en esa foto con campeones de carreras, con el sector de la automoción, de los coches de carreras, después de haber hecho balance de esa pausa arancelaria de 90 días. Ha dicho el presidente de Estados Unidos sobre esa pausa y sobre la credibilidad que tiene, que en la vida hay que tener flexibilidad y que si hay una pared enfrente hay que saber cómo atravesarla en relación a esa pausa arancelaria anunciada. Ha repasado todo lo que ha pasado en el mercado en los últimos días, ha reconocido que el mercado de bonos se enfrenta a una situación complicada, pero que dice que ahora mismo está muy bien. También se ha felicitado por la reacción de Wall Street ante ese anuncio arancelario de pausa que se ha hecho en las últimas horas. También más cosas que ha dicho el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump. Dice que sobre Jamie Dimon y las críticas a los aranceles, dice que Jamie Dimon sabe que había que hacer algo con la situación económica de Estados Unidos, que es un genio financiero, que ha entendido su decisión y que sabe que cualquiera que sea un poco inteligente era consciente de que la situación económica de Estados Unidos era insostenible. También ha criticado a los demócratas, dice que ellos también apoyan los aranceles, pero que no han tenido las suficientes agallas para ponerlos en marcha. También ha dicho, y es una de las noticias más importantes de la comparecencia del presidente de Estados Unidos, que se puede alcanzar un acuerdo con China. Dice que Xi Jinping es muy orgulloso, que lo conoce y que por eso no sabe muy bien cómo empezar las negociaciones con Estados Unidos para alcanzar un acuerdo. Y sin embargo dice que hay otros países, hasta 75, que ya han tomado las riendas de las conversaciones para alcanzar un pacto y que de ahí esa pausa para continuar con esas negociaciones. Dice que a finales de año la economía de Estados Unidos alcanzará unos niveles que nunca se podía pensar que se tuvieran y también insiste en que él quiere llegar a acuerdos justos con todos. Dice que lo único que pretende es ser justo, pero que lo que no puede permitir es que otros países chupen hasta dejar seca a la economía de Estados Unidos. Palabras del presidente Donald Trump, que ha celebrado las subidas en bolsa como consecuencia de esa pausa arancelaria de 90 días que dice que tiene solución para el caso de China. Por otra parte, dice que todo está abierto y que esta situación no ha hecho más que empezar. Así que el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, explicando las causas de su decisión de pausar los aranceles en Estados Unidos para casi todos los países a los que había impuesto tarifas recíprocas, salvo para China, para quien impone un arancel ahora aumentado por tercera vez del 125%. Por cierto, que tenemos respuesta del Reino Unido, del 10 de Downing Street. Dice el gobierno británico que una guerra comercial no le interesa a nadie y que el Reino Unido va a seguir negociando con calma y con frialdad. Y nos vamos a otra última hora que en este caso nos saca de la actualidad arancelaria y nos lleva a Berkshire Hathaway, porque se lo contábamos antes de la comparecencia de Donald Trump, ahora se lo contamos más en profundidad, y es que se ha producido una vulneración de los sistemas de seguridad de NetJets de Berkshire Hathaway. Recordemos que es la compañía de aviones privados perteneciente a Warren Buffett. Pues bien, los hackers han vulnerado los sistemas NetJet de Berkshire Hathaway y han robado datos de sus clientes. La compañía de aviones privados asegura que esa violación a través de los hackers no ha afectado a sus operaciones, pero sí que se ha robado una cantidad limitada de datos de los propietarios de la empresa. NetJets es una compañía de aviones privados, propiedad, recordamos, de Berkshire Hathaway, de Warren Buffett. Está investigando una violación de datos después del robo por parte de piratas informáticos sobre algunos de sus clientes. El atacante habría logrado ejercer la acción conocida como phishing a un empleado para robarle las credenciales de su cuenta de trabajo y habría utilizado ese acceso para robar más información de los sistemas de NetJet en algún momento del mes pasado. NetJet ofrece propiedad fraccionada de aviones y a esos clientes se les denomina propietarios. El hacker robó información de varios propietarios, intentó extorsionar a la empresa, pero se desconoce, según publica Bloomberg, si se ha pagado un rescate ante esa amenaza de los piratas informáticos. Y pendientes de esa situación en el mercado, les contamos, bueno, lo que les contábamos del diente de Downing Street, que el Reino Unido asegura que los aranceles no tienen ningún tipo de sentido y que seguirán negociando con Estados Unidos y con el presidente Donald Trump con frialdad y con calma. Recordemos que Reino Unido fue uno de los territorios mejor parados por los aranceles de Donald Trump, porque no se aplicaron aranceles recíprocos, sino que se aplicó el arancel base del 10%. Vamos a repasar rápidamente el mercado antes de irnos con Víctor Hugo Rodríguez. Continúan esas subidas en el mercado de renta variable norteamericano. Avances para Dow Jones que se han situado en el 7,5%, 2.827 puntos. Subidas para Nasdaq del 11,4%, 19.042 puntos. Subidas para S&P del 9%, 5.436 puntos. Continúa la fiesta en el mercado. Te dije, Víctor Hugo, que todo podía cambiar a las 3:30 y así ha sido.
Gracias a Dios, Alma, gracias a Dios, porque esto es una jugada histórica y les pido a quienes nos ven que se pongan el cinturón de seguridad en Madrid, en Ciudad de México, en Miami, en Nueva York, en Boston, en Los Ángeles, en San Francisco, y le pido inmediatamente al equipo de producción que nos está viendo que ponga a nuestro invitado que precisamente está en la ciudad de San Francisco y nos va a hablar de uno de los activos que es más apetecido en los momentos de especulación, y creo que en definitiva es interesante que observemos lo que vamos a estar discutiendo con nuestro invitado del día de hoy, algo que tiene que ver fundamentalmente con todo lo que hay con las criptomonedas, porque en definitiva esas criptomonedas forman parte de lo que, el mercado estaría diciendo que de una u otra forma es uno de los lugares donde pudiese haber refugio. Todo cambió en la medida en la cual el presidente Trump nos sorprende y nos ha sorprendido, creo que a todos el día de hoy. Ha sido algo increíble lo que observamos, porque pareciera, inclusive dentro de todo lo que estamos observando, que ha arrinconado a básicamente el régimen chino. Esto tiene una sorpresa enorme dentro de todo lo que estamos observando y fundamentalmente creo que cambia la dinámica del juego. Para que ustedes tengan una idea, el Nasdaq está subiendo 11.39%. El Dow Jones, que es el índice industrial, está 7.35% al alza. El Standard & Poor's 500, que es el índice más importante y más representativo del mercado, está obviamente en una oportunidad histórica para que ustedes tengan un día. Hoy arrancamos a las 12 de la noche con un especial. Tenemos una responsabilidad histórica con ustedes de informarlo. Ahí tienes a nuestro invitado, que efectivamente es un joven colombiano, es el Senior Strategist de una compañía que se llama Bitwise. Juan, ayer no pudimos porque estaba el presidente Trump, pero todo Trump te lo tenía guardado para que nos comentes hoy específicamente de lo que ustedes están viendo en el Bitcoin. ¿Qué nos trae interesante allí? Porque los más jóvenes se conectan contigo, la gente inclusive en la América Latina y en España está muy abocada a todo el proceso del Bitcoin. Cuéntanos un poco, Juan, bienvenido a la tribuna de la extensión del cierre de Wall Street.
Así es, hola Víctor Hugo, qué gusto estar aquí contigo. Pues mira, como estamos viendo, estamos en un vaivén del orden mundial, ¿no? Estamos bajo los cimientos que están cambiando lo que vemos con los aranceles. Empezamos con 34% el lunes contra China, hemos subido a 110, ahora 125. Al mismo tiempo Trump le baja los aranceles a otros países. No sabemos dónde va a terminar esto, cuáles van a ser las repercusiones a largo plazo de estos aranceles. Las opiniones están muy divididas, ¿no? Algunos inversores están a favor, otros están en contra. Muchos están especulando sobre las 1000 posibles consecuencias que pueden ocurrir. En mi opinión, lo más importante en estos momentos es enfocarse en las pocas repercusiones que tienen la más alta probabilidad. Y en ese respecto, lo que se ve con claridad, o al menos desde lo que estamos viendo nosotros en Bitwise, es que Trump y su gabinete quieren que el dólar se devalúe. Esta semana, por ejemplo, Steve Miran, el presidente del Consejo de Asesores Económicos de Trump, dio un discurso en el cual dijo que el efecto del dólar como moneda de reserva ha causado distorsiones económicas que han contribuido a los déficits de Estados Unidos y, consecuentemente, han perjudicado significativamente al sector manufacturero de Estados Unidos. reduciéndolo por más de 40% por falta de competitividad en exportación por el valor elevado del dólar. Por ende, Trump está empeñado en devaluar el dólar. Ahora, ¿qué implicaciones tiene esto para el Bitcoin? Pues a corto plazo, la devaluación del dólar es positivo para el valor del Bitcoin. En los últimos 5 años, si vemos la correlación del Bitcoin con el dólar, ha oscilado entre negativo 0.4 y negativo 0.8, lo cual implica que cuando el dólar baja, el Bitcoin sube. A largo plazo, las implicaciones son aún más favorables para el Bitcoin. Las fracturas que estamos viendo en el sistema macroeconómico global crean una oportunidad para que emerjan nuevos activos de reserva. Actualmente, los gobiernos mundiales, las compañías favorecen al dólar precisamente por su estabilidad, pero si esa estabilidad entra en duda, como lo estamos viendo, van a tener que buscar alternativas. Y esa implicación es que podemos estar viendo el comienzo de una transición hacia un sistema global donde el dólar no mantiene su hegemonía como moneda de reserva y en el cual emergen varias monedas o activos como el Bitcoin y el oro con un rol más grande en el sistema financiero global. Entonces, en ese contexto, la propuesta del Bitcoin es bastante simple. Bajo un paradigma en el cual se crean rupturas en el orden global, ¿qué activo está fuera del control de cualquier gobierno, que no pueda ser manipulado por el gobierno de China, por el gobierno de Estados Unidos, por cualquier individuo? ¿Qué activo que se pueda transferir instantáneamente alrededor del mundo sin fricción y que tiene escasez estructural? Y ese es el Bitcoin, ese es el activo más atractivo bajo ese marco que estamos viendo. Está teniendo un auge hacia futuro por estas fracturas y estas rupturas económicas que estamos viendo en el orden que ha sido el orden global por los últimos 50, 60 años.
Mira, una pregunta que te hago con respecto a lo que nosotros estamos observando allí del Bitcoin, que indudablemente dentro de todo el desastre que hubo, como tú dices, aguantó valor, porque independientemente de que hubo una corrección el día de ayer, justamente que lo llevó a los niveles de 74,000, tocó ese nivel, volvió a los niveles de 77,000, ahí se quedó hasta que todo el mercado ha arrancado a raíz de esa importante digamos, cambio de rumbo, porque él mismo lo dijo, él usó su palabra que fue la flexibilidad, sin embargo, queda como una jugada magistral hacia China, que ahora se encuentra en una especie de aislamiento que lo obliga necesariamente a negociar, porque me imagino que va a tratar de presionar a los demás países que se están acercando a la Casa Blanca. Pero háblame indudablemente de lo que ustedes están observando, que es interesante desde todo el punto de vista institucional, con respecto a las criptomonedas, que es muy probable, porque es la agenda que tiene el presidente Trump, de que le dé paso a que haya mayor posibilidad de que la banca, digamos, que manejan los clientes del lado privado, del lado del wealth, les dé las riendas abiertas para que empiecen las asignaciones de recursos y estos banqueros empiecen a asignar recursos. Cuéntame qué estás viendo allí, que es muy importante para toda la connotación del portafolio a nivel institucional. Juan, por favor.
Así es, claro que sí. Pues lo que nosotros estamos viendo en el mercado es que hay un imbalance estructural entre la demanda y la cantidad de Bitcoin que se produce. Actualmente, el network de Bitcoin produce 165,000 Bitcoin al año, anualmente. Eso es toda la cantidad que se está produciendo. Y en términos de demanda, estamos viendo demanda estructural a través de los ETFs que se lanzaron el año pasado, en el cual en el primer año tuvieron un auge de 35 billones de dólares, la mayor cantidad entrando a una categoría de ETFs en la historia. Y este año nosotros lo estamos viendo que la cantidad del segundo año se ve mayor a la del primer año. ¿Por qué? Porque los wirehouses como Morgan Stanley, como Wells Fargo, no han aprobado a los ETFs todavía, pero están haciendo su diligencia. Nosotros estamos hablando con todos ellos, llevamos el proceso del año pasado hablando con ellos y son instituciones que se mueven lento. Entonces esperamos que para este año veamos de esas plataformas aprobar a los ETFs y eso va a conllevar una gran cantidad de activos entrando a los ETFs para comprar Bitcoin. Por otro lado, estamos viendo corporaciones ahora, especialmente con estas fracturas mundiales, con lo que se ve, están anunciando estrategias para comprar Bitcoin, para proteger sus activos contra la inflación, contra la devaluación de las monedas fiat, y estamos viendo más corporaciones haciendo la misma estrategia que hemos visto con Strategy, que anteriormente se llamaba MicroStrategy. Y Esa es otra fuente de demanda que estamos viendo crecer. Y por el otro lado, gobiernos mundiales. Como vimos en estos pocos meses, Trump ya aprobó una reserva nacional estratégica para el Bitcoin y estamos viendo que eso está empezando a crear digámoslo así, un efecto dominó de otros gobiernos que están mirando al Bitcoin como una alternativa para sus reservas estratégicas. Lo estamos viendo a nivel de gobiernos, a nivel estatal en Estados Unidos hay más de 20 estados que están considerando esas mismas propuestas. Entonces tenemos tres fuentes grandes de demanda: los ETFs a través de fondos institucionales, las compañías, corporaciones que están empezando a comprar Bitcoin y gobiernos que están empezando a verlo como un activo estratégico. Esas fuentes de demanda, nuestras predicciones es que este año pueden conllevar de 500,000 a 1 millón de Bitcoin o más en compra de demanda. Y como dije, solo hay 165,000 Bitcoin que va a ser producido. Entonces, ahorita estamos en mercados volátiles donde todos los activos se mueven conjuntamente. Pero cuando esta volatilidad del mercado pase, esa demanda va a seguir estructuralmente favoreciendo al precio del Bitcoin. Y como hemos visto incluso en este momento, el Bitcoin se ha desempeñado mejor que las acciones. En los últimos 5 días que ha habido una caída tremenda de mercado, hoy estamos de rebote, pero en los últimos 5 días el Bitcoin ha caído 2%, mientras que el S&P ha caído 6%. Entonces, se ha defendido muy bien el Bitcoin y creo que eso refleja una mirada del mercado hacia adelante, viendo al Bitcoin como un nuevo activo de reserva global.
Mira, te voy a pedir un favor, Juan, vamos a irnos un segundo, quédate ahí, vamos a irnos con Alma, que tiene algo de última hora, y vuelvo contigo con la última pregunta. Por favor, denle paso a Alma, que nos trae una última hora importantísima.
Pues muchísimas gracias, Víctor Hugo. Vamos rápidamente con esa noticia de última hora. Son palabras del presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, en su primera reacción tras la pausa arancelaria de 90 días a la mayoría de países a los que había impuesto tarifas recíprocas. Pausa de 3 meses que no incluye a China, a la que lanza un órdago aún mayor con aranceles del 125%. Pues bien, se ha referido a esto el presidente norteamericano y Donald Trump dice que esto no ha hecho más que empezar, que la situación en esa pausa de la guerra comercial no ha terminado y confirma, asegura que a su juicio China y Xi Jinping van a querer sentarse a negociar. Ha dicho Donald Trump que Xi Jinping es muy orgulloso y que no sabe cómo iniciar las conversaciones, pero lanza una advertencia al presidente de Estados Unidos. Esta situación no ha hecho más que empezar.
Look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. You know, it's one of those things they don't know quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well. And they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75. And they all want to come, and they want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen.
Responde, por cierto, a esta pausa arancelaria que ha hecho el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, la presidenta mexicana Claudia Sheinbaum, que le dice a Donald Trump que México en buena parte sostiene la economía de Estados Unidos. Claudia Sheinbaum lanza un mensaje directo al presidente norteamericano insistiendo en que los fuertes lazos comerciales que tienen y que llevan estrechando de forma histórica Estados Unidos y México hacen que no solamente México dependa en parte de la economía norteamericana, sino que asegura también lo contrario, que Estados Unidos también depende en buena parte del sostén que proporciona la economía mexicana sobre el país que preside Donald Trump. Víctor Hugo, ya estoy de vuelta contigo de nuevo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Alma. Bueno, fíjate tú, Juan, aquí, como digo, tienes 30 segundos, vamos corriendo en un día donde hay que ponerse el cinturón de seguridad porque pronto viene el cierre y creo que vamos a marcar algo histórico en lo que es la historia contemporánea del mercado de capitales. Te lo voy a poner fácil. La volatilidad comenzó, esto no se acaba aquí. Probablemente tenemos todas estas subidas, Juan, pero los que estamos en el mercado sabemos que vienen cambios inesperados, que en definitiva hoy se ha cruzado un hito importante, es un día increíble. De hecho, Donald Trump salió en la mañana, hora del este de los Estados Unidos, a gritar que era día de compra. Es algo insólito, es histórico, quedará para los libros. Te pregunto, con respecto al Bitcoin en particular, ¿cuál es tu peor escenario en el caso de que algo dramático suceda y cuál es el mejor escenario que tienes? Te pido 20 segundos para que nos contestes porque vamos corriendo, Juan. Muchas gracias.
Perfecto, sí. El mundo de hoy en adelante ha cambiado totalmente. El orden mundial no va a ser el mismo que teníamos. El peor escenario, de verdad, ya lo hemos evitado. El peor escenario hubiera sido que el mercado más grande financiero, el de Estados Unidos, bajo el gobierno, se fuera en contra del Bitcoin. Pero eso ya lo vimos que no fue así. Trump ya dio 2 órdenes ejecutivas a favor de los activos digitales, a favor del Bitcoin con la reserva estratégica. Entonces, ahora tenemos al gobierno detrás de este ecosistema de activos digitales. Entonces, el escenario en el que el gobierno se deshaga del Bitcoin ya no es posible. Ese hubiera sido el peor escenario. El mejor escenario es que todo este plan de reorganización mundial de manufactura y de los aranceles y del comercio global funcione, que el plan de Trump funcione y la economía mundial y de Estados Unidos se disparen. Y en ese caso, a causa de lo que estamos viendo que va a seguir siendo una fraccionación del dólar, una devaluación del dólar, la gente va a estar buscando activos con escasez, a activos que no dependen de un gobierno u otro gobierno, y el activo más atractivo en ese escenario es el Bitcoin. Entonces, viendo hacia futuro, el Bitcoin tiene la mirada de un activo global como reserva, como que juega parte de la reserva global. Y ese es el mejor escenario, que las economías se disparen y la gente le apunte más al Bitcoin como un activo seguro en estos tiempos de volatilidad.
Mira, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Te esperamos próximamente en la tribuna. Un aplauso para lo que vienen haciendo ustedes también y pronto volveremos a estar acá en Negocios TV. Muchas gracias, Juan. Bueno,
Víctor, muchas gracias.
Aquí todo está puesto para que tengamos un mercado extremadamente e increíblemente, pero es algo que nunca había pasado, yo no lo había visto desde este punto de vista, con unos swings enormes donde, para que tengan una idea, el Nasdaq está prácticamente 12% al alza, el Standard & Poor's 500 9% al alza, el Dow Jones 7.37%, así que les hago un llamado a todos los que tienen amigos a que no solamente se suscriban al canal porque esto no se va a acabar, es muy importante porque es un respiro, era una situación donde se le había dado un paro cardíaco, podamos ponerlo así, a la economía, un electroshock y el enfermo se levanta. Esto hubiese parecido algo que no lo hubiésemos podido entender. Yo creo que ustedes comprendan que en algunos escenarios, que probablemente en esos escenarios de guerra que discutíamos más temprano el día de hoy a las 12 de la noche del este de los Estados Unidos, cuando son las 3:43 de la tarde en los Estados Unidos, en la parte de este Boston, Miami, todo lo que es Nueva York, 9:43 ahí de donde usted probablemente me está viendo en Madrid, son las 1:43 en Ciudad de México. Para que usted tenga una idea, no creo que alguien haya dejado de lado algo similar porque se hacen esos escenarios de guerra, pero es algo increíble el hecho de que ahora los malos de la película son los chinos, se les suben los aranceles y se les bajan los aranceles al 10% al resto del mundo, mientras que indudablemente nosotros tenemos la posibilidad de observar cómo el mercado toma este respiro de una manera excelente y las tasas de interés que estaban dando por descontado, que aproximadamente pudiesen bajarse un punto porcentual, 100 puntos básicos, como se dice, tendremos que revisarlos ahora cómo queda, porque todo esto cambia, reactiva. Más de un vicepresidente de finanzas, que para que usted tenga una idea, es lo que se llama un Chief Financial Officer. Y sí, estoy yendo muy rápido porque la cantidad de noticias son enormes. Necesito que esté pegado a nosotros el día de hoy porque esto es un día histórico donde no imaginábamos que la extensión del cierre de Wall Street iba a terminar con esta euforia, donde, como le digo, tenemos un mercado enorme, 2.798 puntos de alza al Dow Jones. Usted no ha escuchado eso normalmente ningún día. Esto es una alza de prácticamente el 7.5% y por eso me escuchan yendo a esta velocidad. Para que tengan una idea, Delta reportó y sus resultados no fueron tan terribles. Eso lo esperábamos en la mañana. Yo lo conversaba con Alma. Ahora vamos a ver qué nos dice Constellation. Luego del cierre probablemente estaremos aquí para contárselo. Constellation es la compañía que se encarga de importar la cerveza Modelo, por darles un ejemplo, acá a los Estados Unidos. Así que es algo muy importante que nos debería decir cómo va ese futuro. Todo ha cambiado extraordinariamente durante los últimos 125 minutos aproximadamente desde que el presidente Trump nos ha anunciado enormemente lo que está sucediendo, y Delta, para que usted tenga una idea, ha subido alrededor de un 20% en el mercado del día de hoy, con una visibilidad increíble desde el punto de vista de la transformación que tiene el mercado considerablemente con lo que estamos viendo. Ese enfoque estratégico que ellos han tenido les ha dado algún tipo de ayuda en todo ese segmento, e indudablemente todo lo que tiene que ver con los viajes ha repuntado. Walmart también dice que su primer trimestre fue bueno, nos va a dejar saber cuando reporte ganancias, y obviamente ya hay una cantidad de acuerdos. El presidente Trump lo está diciendo, que más de 75 países han tocado la puerta de la Casa Blanca, y es muy importante que estemos con ojo avisor, porque durante las próximas horas, los próximos días, vamos a ver una cantidad de anuncios que pueden hacer que Donald Trump pase a la historia, alcanzando una cantidad de prebendas de los demás países, incluyendo la Unión Europea, donde eso ayude a cerrar el inmenso déficit fiscal que tienen los Estados Unidos. Y como nos dijo Alma hace un rato, Goldman Sachs acaba de eliminar su posibilidad de que tuviésemos una recesión en el 2025. Esto es histórico, importante. Así que hay una cantidad de señales de esperanza donde el presidente Trump, por decirlo de una manera, se sale con la suya en un proceso donde inclusive observábamos a un Trump diciéndonos hace un tiempo atrás que efectivamente, para que usted tenga una idea, habría que aplicar la flexibilización. Donald Trump no nos tiene acostumbrados a algo que tenga que ver con la flexibilización. Inclusive puso una metáfora de que cuando usted trata de ir a un muro, es muy probable que usted tenga que darle alguna vuelta, lo salte o pase por debajo, porque si no se va a golpear. Eso es increíble porque va a pasar para la historia. No sabemos exactamente qué fue lo que pasó adentro. Recuérdense que hubo un enfrentamiento entre Elon Musk y Peter Navarro, ambos miembros del equipo de Donald Trump, pero esto es sencillamente increíble. Recuérdense que al final de la jornada del día de hoy, cuando cierre el mercado, cuando son nuevamente 3:47 de la tarde hora del este de los Estados Unidos, estamos a 12 minutos de un día histórico, de un cierre histórico, de un momento mediante el cual el mercado, pues, indudablemente está llegando a 11.62% al alza. Yo quiero decírselos, yo no he visto nunca un mercado, yo no recuerdo haber visto un mercado con esta subida. Obviamente ha habido rebotes intraday, pero no los recuerdo. Obviamente eso quedará para la historia. No creo que exista. Recuérdense que inclusive los mercados tienen ciertos circuitos, y cuando van al alza o a la baja se les colocan ciertos circuitos porque puede estar pasando algo, puede haber sido un error del sistema. No es así. Recuérdense que quienes se fueron cortos y empezaron a vender, lamentablemente están desnudos, han tenido que recomprar, pagar precios increíbles. Aquellos que no se movieron y que obviamente pusieron sus portafolios a fuego lento, como le hemos indicado, que es la manera que usted le gana al mercado, han estado allí. Los pesimistas siempre se equivocan en lo que sería el largo plazo, y tenemos una reseña histórica dentro del mercado de capitales. Yo creo que es bien importante volver a hacer una especie de un llamado a lo que estamos observando. Sí, en definitiva, no nos hubiéramos imaginado que eso que se desmintió el día lunes con respecto a que se iban a imponer 90 días de pausa fue como una bola donde no la cantaron en zona de strike, si a usted le gusta el béisbol, pero que indudablemente, para que usted tenga una idea clara de lo que sucede, nosotros estamos totalmente convencidos de que es muy importante que esto sea estudiado en los libros de estrategia. Eso que nos enseña el presidente Trump, que es el arte de llegar a un acuerdo, de art of the deal, queda para la historia, porque efectivamente probablemente no le va a quedar ninguna otra opción a China que sentarse en una mesa de negociación. El presidente Trump nos decía el día de hoy que el intercambio comercial negativo con China llegaba prácticamente a $1 trillón en el 2024, que esto era imposible de soportar. De hecho, hablaba de que JP Morgan, a través de su presidente Jamie Dimon, había dicho que era muy importante e interesante el hecho de que él también decía que no había ninguna otra opción más allá que tratar de arreglar las cuentas. El país iba hacia un lugar sumamente increíble desde el punto de vista de lo que nosotros llamamos una vorágine durante los últimos 50 años, donde los demás países se habían aprovechado de los Estados Unidos, y aunque creemos que la velocidad del cambio fue increíble y fue muy dolorosa, yo les quiero poner aquí una acotación y vuelvo a poner esta cámara que tengo aquí como un juguete donde probablemente usted está viendo mi cara. Imagínese que es un presidente que se dio un alto golpe y se dio cuenta quiénes eran los generales y los coroneles y los diputados y los senadores que estaban en contra de él, porque esto es increíble. Esto durante 72 horas mantuvo al mundo en vilo y ahora resulta que Donald Trump nos sorprende diciendo, les quito las tarifas, negociamos, lleguemos a acuerdo, pero China me lo pone en el rincón de los castigados y ahora la tarifa no es ni 30, ni 40, ni 80, sino, óigame bien, 125%. Esta mañana Alma estaba anunciando, o creo que fue Manuel, que dicen que Amazon está retirando los pedidos de China. Pues entienda que el problema que estamos teniendo ahora con la subida es que ahora hay que empezar a ver realmente quién no se beneficia de esto, porque vienen represalias si no es que rápidamente se llega a un acuerdo con China. Para que usted también tenga una idea desde el punto de vista de lo que estamos observando, quisiera que viera allí lo que es la imagen de la volatilidad extrema, que aunque no es inédita, solo se ha registrado en 4 ocasiones desde 1978, como ve usted en esos picos en color naranja, donde indiscutiblemente tenemos que observar que esto ha sucedido en varias oportunidades. El índice del miedo, que se llama el VIX, estuvo probablemente ubicándose por encima del 60%. Esto es increíble porque las máquinas no lo toman. También tengo que decirles algo. Sí, yo estaba mucho más joven, estamos hablando de hace unos 15 años atrás, 16, en el año 2008, 17 años, y el VIX me llegó a 120%. Yo quiero revisar ese pico que está allí porque eso yo lo viví en el año 2008, una situación insólita en los mercados. No sabemos si fue lo que se llama un backtick, pero indudablemente en los mercados observamos eso que está allí. Vemos que en 1987 la volatilidad hizo de las suyas. Yo en el 87, pues lamentablemente todavía no estaba en el mercado de capitales activos, estaba bastante joven y no tenía la habilidad de entenderlo totalmente, pero creo que es bien importante que entendamos que en este mercado nunca hubo ese momento de capitulación, salvo el día de ayer. Hay algunos que van a llamar a que nos mandaron a comprar, hay otros que probablemente siguen insistiendo en que vamos a volver a caer. Esto no ha culminado, pero lo que sí le quiero dejar claro es que es prácticamente imposible cuando el Dow Jones históricamente me está subiendo 3.122 puntos. Sí, escuchan mi voz extremadamente apasionada el día de hoy. Esto es increíble, esto sale en todos los titulares a nivel mundial. El Dow Jones me está subiendo efectivamente 3.53 de la hora del este de los Estados Unidos, 9.53 en Madrid, 1.53 en Ciudad de México, y me disculpan los demás países que no los nombro, pero estamos subiendo 8.29%, 12.53% en el Nasdaq. Esto es increíble, nunca antes visto, y creemos efectivamente que todo este proceso dará mucho de qué hablar, porque esto recalcula los sistemas que tienen las máquinas, recalcula todo lo que tiene que ver con los sectores, deja a más de un manager al descubierto con pérdidas por haberse probablemente colocado en otro nivel. Imagínense ustedes cómo están los mercados de opciones, cómo están los mercados de futuro, cómo están todos aquellos que están apostando que el mundo se acababa. Cuando usted está observando esto, pues tiene que ponerse el cinturón de seguridad, porque cuando abra Australia, cuando abra Japón, cuando mañana nos abra Europa, Dios mío, esto es increíble porque esto no se acaba. Esto precisamente puede seguir existiendo así, porque recuérdense que los mercados habrían caído enormemente y la tasa, como nos lo decía Tom Lee, hay que decirlo aquí abiertamente, él es el presidente de una compañía que se llama Fonstrap. Yo no sé si mis queridos amigos en producción me pueden poner el gráfico, por favor, de Tesla, porque él decía que Tesla era quien iba a liderar el crecimiento. Creo que Tesla tiene una posibilidad enorme de habernos dado una cátedra desde el punto de vista del precio que tenemos el día de hoy. Para que usted tenga una idea, Tesla nos está subiendo un 23% el día de hoy con un mercado de estos niveles. Esto es lo que se llama un V-shaped recovery, donde la B de Víctor, casualmente mi primera inicial, es como se pudiese haber comportado el mercado cayendo y ahora como un cohete de Elon Musk yendo hacia arriba en un mercado histórico que tiene el día de hoy, 3:55 de la tarde, cuando tenemos alrededor de unos 4 minutos y tanto antes del cierre. Quiero volver a decirles muchas gracias al equipo de producción que nos pone ahí el gráfico interesante de Tesla, que esto es histórico, importante, interesante y que marca una pauta que dentro de los anales de lo que yo he visto en el mercado de capitales, nunca he observado algo de esta naturaleza y creo que es bien importante que también entendamos que no se trata de que han venido saliendo el oro también nos está subiendo 4%, el petróleo nos está subiendo una cantidad interesante, alrededor del 5% nos sube el petróleo, el gas natural 8% al alza. Mire, si usted me hubiese dicho que yo iba a narrar algún día una noticia de esta naturaleza en un solo día histórico, el día 9 de abril del año 2025, cuando empezamos la transmisión a las 12 de la noche, cuando José Antonio y todos nuestros compañeros se conectaron desde Europa alrededor de las 7 de la mañana, hora de Madrid, no nos hubiésemos imaginado, no solamente eso, sino que voy a volver a repetírselo, que Donald Trump, alrededor de las 4 de la tarde, hora de Madrid, salió diciendo en un True Social, que es lo que él usa como la red social de turno, ya no usa Twitter ni X, sino True Social, es momento de compra, quédese tranquilo, y no hubiésemos podido creer que iba a hacer una pausa a todo el proceso arancelario, que iba a bajarlo completamente y que efectivamente íbamos a tener este día histórico. Le damos paso a unas declaraciones importantes justamente del presidente Donald Trump. Adelante.
You all set? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We just had a wonderful meeting with the greatest race car drivers in the world and some really spectacular people that won the Indy 500 for the last, for the last 4 years, or last 2 years. And Roger Penske is so incredible. And the Daytona winners and the Daytona 24-hour champions. So it was really great to see them and to see those cars. Those cars are incredible. So there's a lot of winning out there, and we're having a good day in the stock market, as you can see, an all-time record day, and hopefully it continues. I think it should. Our country's stronger than it's ever been, and somebody had to do that with, we had to take the medicine. We had to go through the operation, and that's what we've been through, and a lot of presidents would not have done it. No president would have done it, I think, but it had to be done, and I just want to thank my team, this team here, and lots of others, and Scott and Howard have been incredible. And for energy, there's nobody like this man. And for the roads and highways, boy, you've done well, Sean. So we appreciate it, very much appreciate it. And if we could, well, let's see. We're signing a lot of executive orders, and some ambassadors have been approved, yes, and we're going to start that process right now. We're honored to have Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, great state of Michigan. And she's really done an excellent job, and a very good person. And we're working on the Selfridge, as you know, the air base. We're trying to get the air base open, keep it open. I think, Gretchen, if you're there, and Matt Hall, the Speaker of the House of Michigan. And he's been fantastic as the Speaker. I appreciate it. We won the state, Matt, and you helped me a lot.
I did, and you made me Speaker, so thank you, Mr. President.
That's good too. And Gretchen, I think everybody knows. So we're working on that very hard, and I think we'll come home with a winner for Michigan, okay? I just spoke with the Secretary of Defense. Sometimes we call him the Secretary of War. It used to be called the Secretary of War. They changed it when we became a little bit politically correct. But I think we're in great shape. We're going to be in great shape. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Matt. Congratulations. Great job. So we'll start with the first orders. And I think we have one for a man named Mike Huckabee. Does anyone know Mike Huckabee?
Yes, sir.
He's going to be a great ambassador to Israel.
So this,
And they're thrilled to have him, that I can tell you. Go ahead.
yes, sir. So the Senate confirmed Governor Huckabee to be your next ambassador to Israel earlier today. That's his commission as ambassador. And then we also have a transmittal letter to the president of Israel requesting that he accept Ambassador Huckabee's credentials.
He's going to be fantastic. He's going to bring home the bacon.
And then
Even though bacon isn't too big in Israel.
That's just the third letter.
I had to clear that up.
Well said.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to Mike
Huckabee. Next, sir, this is a big one. As you've consistently identified, restoring our maritime dominance as a nation is very important. From shipbuilding to having a merchant marine that's capable of supporting American military efforts, really up and down the line, restoring maritime dominance has been a priority of this administration. This executive order, which was prepared primarily by your National Security Council staff and National Security Advisor Waltz, has a number of very significant policy steps, all aimed at restoring American maritime dominance and ensuring that we have the shipbuilding capacity and ability to compete globally, both militarily and in the civilian space as well.
And that could be a good one for Michigan too, because we're going to be spending a lot of money on shipbuilding. We're way, way, way behind. We used to build a ship a day, and now we don't do a ship a year practically, and we have the capacity to do it. So we'll talk to you about that. Okay, Matt, think about that. That's a natural. Okay, shipbuilding. That's a good one. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next executive order relates to defense procurement. Our current defense procurement process has been criticized by many folks on both sides of the aisle as being too slow to adapt to new and changing technologies, not delivering the sorts of weapons and systems that our warfighters need in order to compete on the battlefields of the future. So with this executive order, we're going to be modernizing the procurement structure the Department of Defense uses to allow it to more quickly adapt to changing circumstances around the world. And we're also going to be launching a review of existing procurement programs to ensure that we're getting value for the money and to ensure that we're getting the best possible systems in the field.
And which are currently horrible. I tell you, they're horrible. That process is ridiculous what they do. They get the highest price and not even good looking equipment. And we're changing it. We're going to change it to the best. So this is very, very important. I want to say hello to Brooke. Well, look at Brooke. She got the cost of eggs down 87%. 87%, Governor. We have somebody that's done a great job at Department of Agriculture, and Christine Ohm, who perhaps a few of you have heard of. She has done the most unbelievable job as somebody that's watching over a country at the border, and with Tom Holman and your whole staff of tremendous people. So thank you. Who would think that she is like meant for that job, huh? She's meant for it. So I just saw you there both. Thank you very much. Good. We'll do it later, please.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, in the defense space, one persistent issue that we've had in terms of the issue of foreign defense sales, that we're unable to provide weapon systems in a reliable, effective way to key allies of ours. And a key driver of that is inefficiencies and inconsistencies with the process by which we approve foreign military sales. So this executive order is going to direct your Department of Defense, Department of State, other relevant departments and agencies to rework our system of foreign defense sales to ensure that we can provide equipment, creating American jobs and providing obviously revenue to American defense manufacturers, but provide key military equipment to our key allies in a reliable, effective way.
Okay, that's good. All very important. Because our budget is just about approved, and it's a big budget, and we want to spend the money properly, get the best equipment in the world. We rebuilt our military during my first term, rebuilt it entirely, beautiful. And then some was given away to Afghanistan so stupidly, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, I think. But it's still, we have to fix it up a little bit, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a good job of it too. Thank you.
Next up, sir, we have a series of executive orders and a memorandum all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major priority of your administration. The first of these is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
You can say it. Go ahead. What are the appliances?
I mean, it's everything, sir. Dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a huge
There's no
deal.
water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So with this executive order, we're effectively going to be reversing that set of regulations to ensure that Americans have choice in the consumer market. If they want a low-flow shower head, they can buy one. If they want a real deal shower head, they should have the ability to get one.
You buy a new house, you pay a lot of money, and the developers, you're not allowed to do anything more. They put restrictors on. They used to have a restrictor where you could take it out, but now they weld it in. And you take a shower or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers when no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water. And we're going to open it up so that people can live, and we're going to hopefully have Congress approve it so it's memorialized. We're going to try and get all of these things, including straws, a little thing like straws. We did straws a month ago where the paper straws were melting. They were dissolving. They weren't working well. And we went back to the plastic straws. We're going to get Congress to memorialize just about everything we've done here because most of it's common sense. But the water is horrible. When you go into anytime you see a new faucet, you know it's going to be a long wash of the hands. And so we're changing. It's a big deal. I did it in the first administration. Biden came in his first week, and he had no idea what he was doing, but somebody told him to do it. And his first week, he put the restrictions on all the bathroom utilities, even in areas that have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You see those areas all the time with the flooding. So we're doing that, and we're going to get all of the things that you've seen. I think we set a record. We're up to almost 200 and 500 amendments. Nobody's ever done that much. We're going to get them approved by Congress so they're memorialized. And we look forward to doing that. It's very important. And Congress is going to start working on it as soon as we get the big, beautiful deal done. The big, beautiful deal is important. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. That's important. Okay. Okay, is that okay? It's a 10.
You take a good shower.
It's amazing.
We rate the signatures. That was a 10, that's why.
This is another executive order relating to deregulation, sir. There are a lot of regulations on the books that either promote monopoly directly or prevent new market entrants from entering into a given market. The net effect of that is very negative for consumers. So what this executive order is going to do is direct your departments and agencies to work with the FTC, with the Attorney General, with the Department of Justice, to ensure that the regulations we have on the books don't function as anti-competitive barriers to new market entrants. The net effect of all of that is going to hopefully be market forces that redound to the benefit of consumers and ordinary Americans as opposed to monopolistic businesses.
I said yesterday, he was a great, great student at Harvard before it went bad. It's gone really bad. Now they're teaching their students mathematics, basic mathematics. Can you believe it? So what does that mean? They're allowing people in that can't add 2 and 2? What's going on at Harvard?
I went to law school there, sir, and it was pretty liberal when I was there, but it's gone way off the deep end in recent years.
I don't know if you read that. They're teaching them basic mathematics, people that got accepted to Harvard. How come they got accepted if they don't have mathematics? And we're holding back $8 billion. Can we believe? We give Harvard $8 billion. And we're holding back Columbia. We're holding back a lot of the schools because they were woke. And they've hurt a lot of people. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
There are a large number of regulations on the books. These are regulations that are currently in effect that we believe blatantly violate the law, blatantly violate Supreme Court precedent that otherwise are just blatantly illegal. So what this presidential memorandum does basically just directs the heads of your departments and agencies to follow the law and to cease enforcing regulations that are blatantly illegal or unconstitutional.
It's a big deal. It's really very important that we get these memorialized.
Yes, sir.
In Congress. Very important for the long haul, right?
Yes, sir. This is the last of our deregulatory EOs for the day. This is zero-based regulatory budgeting. The idea here is that over time, regulations accumulate on the books and in the Federal Register, and people aren't taking a close, detailed look at what's on the books and clearing them out as times change or as regulations become dated or ineffective. What this executive order is going to require is each of your departments and agencies to scrutinize on a continuing rolling basis all of the regulations they actually have on the books and sunset those that either no longer serve a purpose or the departments and agencies can't identify a specific reason for keeping them active.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you've taken action against a number of law firms that have in one way or another been involved in the weaponization of government or actions of lawfare. One of those law firms is Sussman Godfrey, similar to what we've done previously with other law firms. This is an executive order that takes certain measures against Sussman Godfrey to ensure that they can't access government resources, government buildings, scrutinizing certain aspects of their practices as a law firm, given their previous activities.
And we signed with many law firms, the ones that we thought were inappropriate. And they've all agreed to pay $1 million. They went for some pretty big numbers. I guess we have a total. What do we have? What's the total about? What's the total right now, Steve? About, would you say?
Getting close to probably 600-700 million now, I would think. We've multiple at 100 million, some at 125 million. So the numbers are adding up. We're going to be close to $1 billion soon.
One at $40 million, millions of dollars an hour. But they don't admit guilt. Remember that, they don't admit guilt. But and we have another 5 to go, I think, 5 of them. And this one is we're just starting a process with this one.
Yes, sir.
Because there were some very bad things that happened with these law firms.
And this firm was very involved in the election misconduct.
Weren't they all involved in the election misconduct? I think they were all involved.
Yes.
Anyway, so they went from $40 million to $125 million. And most of them are at about $100 million. Right? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next presidential memorandum we have for you relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during your previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information. It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his egregious behavior during your previous administration.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN, or one of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on all the time saying that the president is I had no idea. It's like, in this office, you have a lot of young people, and they're here. I'll see him for 2 minutes, and I assume he was in the office, but I barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies. And it was like he was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what he did, he wrote a book anonymous, said all sorts of lies and bad things. And I think it's like a traitor, it's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here, and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least, but I didn't know anything about him. And he wrote a book, anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction. Got a lot of publicity. Got himself a nice job with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. I seem to be able to sustain. But if that happened to other presidents, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat president, I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like that can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book about very confidential meetings? And, because they happen to be one of a lot of people in a room, and they go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal. And everybody saying, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later. And he got a lot of publicity off that one. He's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Terrible guy.
Similarly, sir, Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. This is it's a similar presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It addresses his access to government, existing clearances he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars, It was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the 51 intelligence agents that worked from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out about this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, a vote, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper, it says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots, and you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days. And then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election. And this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something. And almost right from the beginning. And he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. There's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. No idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was. So thank you very much. Those last two are very important, I think, for the country.
Thank you, sir. And lastly, we just have 3 proclamations. These are the sorts of things that most presidents use an auto pen for. You obviously don't like using the auto pen much, if at all. The first of these is National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day. This is one that you did in each of, I believe, each of the previous years of your previous administration, recognizes former prisoners of war. More generally, this proclamation is written to acknowledge the great steps you've made both in this administration and your previous administration on behalf of veterans, homeless veterans, others who've suffered in that way, and basically stating that it's a priority of your administration to ensure that veterans and homeless veterans are cared for properly.
Good. And you know what? They ought to find out who was using that auto pen, because whoever that person was, he or she was like the president of the United States. And I'm against auto pens. I think auto pens are not a good thing, especially when you're talking about documents like we're signing today. If he can't sign, then he can't be president. It's pretty simple. Let's see whether or not he could sign. But I think that should be tested. I really think that should be tested. It's another one. And you may think about it, because how can a man did he really know that when they gave all false information on the council? I mean, the whole unselect committee of political lunatics, they destroyed all the information. You can't get any information. They went for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, screaming and ranting and raving. Democrats plus 2 worse than Democrats. You had Liz Cheney, and crying Adam Kinzinger, crying Adam. Every time I looked at him, he was crying. The guy was a crier. But you can't do that. You just can't do that. So we're going to find out a lot. I think we're going to find out a lot. These last 3 or 4 have been they've been very, very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
But I don't think a president should be allowed to use an auto pen when they're signing very, important legislation. I think a president should sign it, not use an auto pen. And we're going to find out whether or not he knew what the hell he was doing. I'm sure at this point he'll say, I signed it. They'll tell him what to say. But to give pardons to people that destroyed all the information. If you destroyed information on a civil case, just a civil case, not a criminal case, a civil case, They put you in jail for that. And they found out that Pelosi was the one that was in charge of the security of the Capitol. She knew all about it, and she admitted her guilt to her daughter, who was a movie documentary person. I'm sure her daughter's not too happy about that. I'm sure Crazy Nancy's not too happy. But we found out all the things, everything. And we go for the information. Sir, we've destroyed all of that information. If I haven't destroyed it, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I guarantee you that. I'd be sitting someplace else. So I think it's something that we should really look at, because that's so important. The whole concept of an auto pen, because whoever's, you know, auto pens are run by somebody. Whoever ran the auto pen was president of the United States. And I would be willing to bet that Biden didn't know, probably didn't know anything about any of it. Very dangerous, very dangerous. So you're going to check that out, right?
Yes,
Please?
sir. We're working on it right now, sir. This is just another proclamation, sir, declaring National Crime Victims' Rights Week. You've obviously made it a major priority of your administration to track down and at times deport criminals who have committed violence on our streets, who have victimized so many people. This is an annual proclamation that hopefully gets Americans to remember that when crimes occur, there are real victims, there are real people who are affected, and there are people who suffer as a result.
Okay, it's very important. Thank you. I just want to add, so we're working very hard with Democrats, the governor, with Matt Hall, with a lot of transportation, Sean, and all of the people trying to keep Selfridge Air Force Base open, strong, thriving. And I think we're going to be successful, Governor. I think we'll be very successful at that. We've gotten some good feedback from Pete Hegseth and Department of Defense. And they're talking about F-16s, they're talking about F-35s, you know, et cetera. It's a great piece of property, it's a great location, and it's a great state. So I think we're going to come back with a very good answer. We're also working on a certain fish that's taken over a beautiful lake called Michigan, right? And that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's very, do you want to just talk about that?
Sure, Mr. President. Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for caring so much about Michigan. We've been working a long time. We couldn't get Joe Biden to do anything about either one of these issues, particularly Selfridge Air Force Base. It'll be critical to Michigan's economy and our security when you're able to deliver us another mission there. But on the Asian carp, you know, for years, when Obama was there, we could never get anyone to do anything about this invasive species that's going to destroy our Great Lakes. You know how important recreational fishing and so much of that is to our state. Because of your work, we're hopeful that we'll get a solution there and we'll get that barrier built so we can protect our Great Lakes. So thank you, Mr. President.
And they're very powerful fish. I mean, I see them, they jump out of the water, they jump at the fishermen. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And has this gotten into any of the other lakes yet? Because you would think it would be pretty easy because they're all sort of connected.
It's why we're working so hard to make sure that, you know, we work with the Army Corps and erect a barrier so that the Asian carp can't get into Lake Michigan. It'll devastate the ecosystem, the economy, tourism, and it's 20% of the world's fresh water is in the Great Lakes, Mr. President, which is why it's so important that as a nation, we protect the pristine waters. Yep.
And, you know, all of a sudden, I assume the lakes are all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, they're going to be in the other lakes. And so we're going to work hard on that. I spoke with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have a method. It's a pretty gruesome method, but it's a method. And I think they know what to do. So we're going to work on that very hard. And thank you, Governor, very much. Sort of a bipartisan thing when you get right down to it. Yep. It's a very expensive thing, actually. It costs a lot. I looked at the numbers. I said, well, but we have to save Lake Michigan because these fish, they eat everything in the way, including the other fish. They eat everything. Are people endangered by the fish?
I think I mean, they're going to eat all the fish there. We won't be able to fish anymore. And that's a big deal in Lake Michigan. There's a lot of fishing, recreation. Yeah. So it's going to be a problem there. But you're right, it's bipartisan, sir. But you're the one taking action on these issues. We couldn't get Biden to do it on Selfridge. This thing has been delayed for, 15 years where we were trying to do it. We started under Obama where we were trying to do it. he wouldn't do anything about it. So we appreciate you paying so much attention to this and taking action.
Well, I
sir.
would, and the governor, in all fairness, called me about it. I had seen it, and she called me, and John James called me. And, we spoke with your office, and it's I want to put that down. Really is bipartisan. It's great to see it. Actually, it's great to see that, and that includes Selfridge too. And we're going to get it done, and we'll all stand there together and cut a ribbon. Okay, Gretchen, good. That's good. Thank you very much. I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad you brought it up, Matt. Appreciate it. And I know you two get along pretty well, right?
About 70% of the time, which is pretty good.
I think you do. All right, good. We'll have something to celebrate pretty soon. So pretty sure about that. Okay. Thank you, Gretchen, very much. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, where does the TikTok deal stand? Given what we've seen, the tariffs
Well,
to
it's moving
China.
along, but obviously, I would say right now China's not exactly thrilled about signing it. We have a deal with some very good people, some very rich companies that would do a great job with it. But we're going to have to wait to see what's going to happen with China. So,
Mr. President, still on the table?
no, it's on the table very much. I think China's going to want to do it, actually.
Mr.
Can
President,
you
you
explain
said
more of what you believe is the end game with China? Are you waiting for President Xi to blink? How do you think this is all going to be resolved?
Look, for years, we've been ripped off and taken advantage of by China and others, in all fairness. But by China, that's the big one. And it's just one of those things. We're making $2 billion a day right now, this country. $2 billion a day with tariffs. And they were making $2 billion a day. We'll be making more. Now, when you see what happened today, I don't know if it's still there. I looked an hour ago, but we were up like close to 3,000 points. Nobody's ever seen a day like that. I think that's a record, isn't it, fellas?
Definitely.
Is that a record? Who would have thought we were going to have a record like that after watching? But because the geniuses of the world, they get it. Our country is very strong. We were left a very, very weakened country, both economically, financially, because of all of the tariffs and all of the other companies just raiding us and ripping us off. And also at the border, where 21 million people were allowed to come in. Many of those people were criminals. And but the people that do this for a living, and some of them are very smart and some of them aren't smart at all. But these guys are very smart, and my group is very smart. My whole group is smart. And you've done so amazing on the border. I read the other day that there were 9 people and hundreds of thousands 2 years ago with Biden, and we had 9. We had it down to 9, and they were all let in for medical reasons. They were in bad shape. We let them in for medical reasons, not even for anything else. So you've been amazing. But that's a big thing. I think it's one of the greatest problems that I've never seen anything like it. Open borders, the whole world was emptied out. Prisons from all over the world, from the Congo in Africa, from Africa to Asia, a lot in South America, but it wasn't just South America. Prisons emptied out. And I said it outside with the drivers before, but El Salvador has been amazing, a job that the president's done. He's coming to see me next week, and we look forward to that. But that's really been amazing. Yes.
Mr. President, the EU also announced increases in tariffs today. Why not treat
bad timing for them? That's bad timing.
Why not?
They didn't put them in. No, they threatened them, but they picked a later date, which our expectation is it's going to be later still.
Okay, I'm glad that they held back.
You said you were watching the market.
If this was the strategy all along to bring them to the table, why did you instruct or advise, or maybe they did it on their own, some of your top aides to say this is not a negotiation, to hold the line, that they were going to hold the line, that you were not going to change your mind?
A lot of times it's not a negotiation until it is, and that happens. And, I said outside that you have to have flexibility to do it right, and that's what we have. We brought everybody to the table, and it may not be a negotiation. It may not last. I mean, things may be asked that I think are not fair to us. Look, we've been ripped off by essentially everybody for 35 years. This is not just a new thing. And Roger Penske just left. He's a great gentleman, great man, actually. And he said no other president would have had the guts to do this. And I believe that's right. They wouldn't have done it. They should have done this a long time ago. They should have done it. I started it with China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China in my first term. And we had the greatest economy. We were up 88% on the stock market. That was the greatest ever in the history of our country. But it had to be done. It's something that had to be done.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Which countries will be negotiating first? Do you have any criteria? Because, for example, Brazil and the UK, they do not have deficits with the US. They have a surplus. They do not have a surplus. They have deficits with the US. So what is the criteria? And also, would you consider talking or meeting with Xi Jinping?
No, sure. I would. He's a friend of mine. I like him. President Xi, I like him. I respect him. But they haven't treated our country right. Sure, I'd meet with him. On the other countries, we have Japan is here, and South Korea is here, and others are here, and we're trying to see them. It's from what I hear, it's much more than 75. I said 75 plus.
So many.
It's everybody wants to make a deal, actually, and we want to do what's right for our country. We also want to do what's right for the world. The world is important. I mean, it's the world, right? And I think we're going to make a lot of people very happy. And I think investing in the United States of America will be the greatest investment that anybody's ever made.
Mr. President, we still expect to see the sectoral tariffs, so the pharmaceuticals, steel. Is that something you're still considering moving forward?
Yeah,
with?
well, I will be, because we want them coming back. We realized during COVID that we don't make our drugs and our pharmaceuticals in this country. So I realized that. And it was a big realization. We had to go to China to get drugs. We had to go to other places. I won't even mention the names, but we had to go to other places. We don't make it. And that's because we let them leave. And now if they want to come back, we're going to put tariffs on the pharmaceutical companies, and they're going to all want to come back. They're going to come back. I'm not going to pay them any money like Biden with the chip deal. That chip deal was horrible. They give billions and billions of dollars to chip companies. All they have is money. They have so much money. And they give billions of dollars, and they're just going to keep the money. They're not going to spend it. And the only thing that's going to bring them back is you say, we have a barrier. You have to pay 50% or 100% or 200%. And if they have to pay that, they're going to say, we're not going to pay that. We're going to build here. And that's what happened. We're the biggest, most prestigious chip company in the world, spending $200 to $300 billion. Think of that, $1 billion to build essentially one massive plant. It'll be one of the largest plants in the world. And we're going to get them very quickly. We're going to get them energy. We're going to get them the electricity they need and the energy that they need. And it'll be approved by Lee Zeldin, a total professional. And it'll be approved very quickly. And they'll get their zoning very quickly. They'll have everything done in a matter of months.
Thank you, sir. You've procured a record amount of private sector investments since your election, $7 trillion. We talked about the importance of all that. Can you talk about how these investments will have a positive impact on families who felt like the previous economy left them behind, and why your executive orders on coal yesterday is so important given the amount of manufacturing that you're ushering back in?
Thank you. And which is correct. We have, I would say, more than $7 trillion now, right, of investment coming in. Apple is coming in for $500 billion alone. We have other companies coming in with massive numbers. We have car companies that are coming in. No, we've never seen anything like it. Maybe in the 1940s or 50s or something, but we've never seen anything like it. They had 3 plants canceled in Mexico. Not that we want to hurt Mexico, but we're for us. And that's what my job is. It's not to take care of other countries, but I want to help other countries as much as I can, but we have to take care of America first. And it's about America first. So we have many, many companies coming in that would have never come in if we didn't win the election and then put the tariffs on. And they're coming in because when they build in the United States, there are no tariffs. You don't have to pay any tariffs. So instead of paying 30, 40, 50% or 25%, but it could go a lot higher in some of the industries. So we have steel mills right now that are raging. The steel industry is gone. If I didn't put the tariffs on steel, because China was dumping massive amounts of steel in my first term, and I put tariffs on it, I saved the steel industry, but now it's going to thrive. maybe like never before. I mean, if you go back to U.S. Steel from 90 years ago, it was incredible. It was the #1 company in the world for a long time. That's why we don't want to see it go to Japan. And we love Japan, but U.S. Steel is a very special company. We don't want it to go to Japan or any other place. So we're working with them, and I don't know if they need any money now. I'll be honest with you, they hit gold. They hit gold because if you look at it, they have such orders for steel now. It's incredible. What's going on in our country is incredible with respect to plants. So we lost 90,000 plants and factories from the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of this world, but certainly in the history of trade. There's never been a worse trade deal. We were able to cancel that. We had to get approval from Congress. It was like a disastrous curse because you had to go to Congress to get it terminated. You couldn't just terminate it because it was a bad deal. And you had people in Congress that didn't want to do it because they had other reasons, maybe bad reasons. They're mostly not there anymore, those people. But it's amazing what's happened. I appreciate that question because it's incredible. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. $7 trillion, and it's much more than that because these are places that we know. $7 trillion is unheard of. I never looked at the Biden numbers, but you could go a whole year and it was peanuts. Everybody was leaving. They weren't coming in, they were leaving. And that means jobs are leaving. And so we're not playing games. We're going to make this country greater than ever before. Thank you for that question.
Mr. President, it seems that China's made some. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. For the past few days, we've heard from this administration no pause. Was this idea of doing a pause, did that just come about this morning? Can you tell us exactly what came into consideration for you and your advisors?
For a period of time, I wouldn't say this morning. Over the last few days, I've been thinking about it. I've been dealing with Scott, with Howard, with some other people that are very professional. And I think it probably came together early this morning, fairly early this morning. Just wrote it up. We didn't have the use of, we didn't have access to lawyers or we just wrote it up from our hearts, right? It was written from the heart. And I think it was well written too, but it was written from the heart. It was written as something that I think was very positive for the world and for us. And we don't want to hurt countries that don't need to be hurt. And they all want to negotiate. The only problem is, you can only do so many at one time. It's like, we want to do it right. We want to get it right. We want to take care of them, but we have to take care of our country. So, but this was something certainly we've been talking about for a period of time. And we decided to pull the trigger. And we did it today, and we're happy about it. I didn't know it would have that kind of an impact, but it's, I think you have the biggest increase in the history of the stock market. That's pretty good. You're almost, if you keep going, you're going to be back to where it was 4 weeks ago. But it was a sick market 4 weeks ago, because the trade was sick. It was only a question of time. I don't blame the tariffs. I think the tariffs just sort of magnified what was happening. It was sick. Biden allowed these people to get away with murder. Biden allowed China to just take advantage of us. We had like $1 trillion deficit with China, $1 trillion deficit. So that was going to only be a matter of time. I think the tariffs brought it out faster and they magnified the problem. But I think this was a problem that existed far beyond tariffs. This was a systemic problem, and we're going to cure that problem. And maybe to a large extent we have, because we've revealed it, and we've revealed it very strongly. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So it seems China's made some serious missteps here in these negotiations, and Secretary Bessent said earlier you may have goaded them into a tough position here. I'm wondering, are you in a way putting together a coalition against China in terms of trade here?
No. Well, China, look, they're very capable. And I don't blame China for what happened. I blame the people sitting right at this desk, right behind this desk, or another desk. You get your choice of 7. I happen to pick the Resolute. But I blame the people sitting behind in this chair, behind this desk, for being stupid, incompetent, or not having courage. This should have been done years ago. This should have been done before Obama, in all fairness. Not only Biden, Obama. It should have been done many years ago. This started with the World Trade Organization, which was owned by China. It was owned and paid for by China. They didn't even have to do things. They considered them a nation that was undeveloped. They said they were a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation too, if you think about it. Look at our inner cities. Look at what's happened. I think we're starting from ground zero there, right? So we're a developing nation too. No, I know it's a lot of people take heat for saying that, but I blame the people sitting at this desk more than I blame China. If China can get away with what they got away with taking hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars right out of our pocket, because our people here were stupid. They were stupid people. Maybe corrupt. I don't know. I don't know how you can be that stupid. How do you get to be president and you're stupid? But they certainly weren't courageous. And they allowed this to happen. And with Japan and with many other countries, it took advantage of us. I mean, we had deficits with almost every country. I used to read these things. First term, I'd read them. I'd actually read the agreements. I'd say, how could anybody agree to this stuff? So certainly they were rough, and they were tough, and they were smart. And you can blame them, but I really blame the people that allowed them to do it, because if you could read first grade and you could read these agreements, you'd say, these are terrible deals. I actually used to say, who would allow deals like this to be made for our country? And maybe it's people that didn't care. Maybe it's people that weren't courageous. Maybe it's people that were corrupt. I don't know. But I blame those people more than I blame anybody else.
Mr. President, you've been very specific in saying that you would like the EU to purchase U.S. energy. Is there something specific that you would like China to do?
Well, you'll be hearing about that. Yeah, there are a lot of things I'd like China to do.
Are there some examples?
There are a lot of things that I want China to do, and I'll be telling China what that is. Not you, but I'll be telling China.
Mr. President, Iran, you said the other day that if they do not agree to a potential nuclear deal, that it would be very dangerous for them. What specifically?
Well, they
did you
can't have a
mean?
nuclear weapon.
Did you mean military action, though, if they don't agree?
Oh, if necessary? Absolutely. Yeah.
And do you have a
deadline for these
Yeah,
talks?
I do.
And
You're talking about with Iran?
Yes.
Yeah,
you're
I
saying
do.
it's not
Do you want something
Mexico.
definitive this weekend, or do you see this as a start of a process?
It's a start.
Do you have a timeline?
We have a little time, but we don't have much time
Who is starting the
because we're not going to let them have a nuclear weapon.
Is
Can't
it
let them have a
going to
nuclear
be there, Mr. President?
And we're going to let them thrive. I want them to thrive. I want Iran to be great. The only thing they can't have is a nuclear weapon. They understand that. The people are so incredible in Iran, and they're so smart. They're very smart people. But they're in a rough situation, rough regime. But they understand, and the leaders understand. And I'm not asking for much. I don't. They can't have a nuclear weapon, and I've said that. And I was a little bit surprised because when the election was rigged, I figured they'd get the weapon because with me they were broke. They were broke. They had no money because of the sanctions. Nobody could buy oil. We did that to Venezuela just recently, and we'll do it to other countries if we have to. I want to see Russia and Ukraine make a deal. They got to make a deal. When schools get blown up and bad things happen, like I'm hearing about, it's no good. I hope we're going to make a deal with Russia and Ukraine. But with Iran, if it requires military, we're going to have military. Israel will obviously be very much involved in that. He'll be the leader of that. But nobody leads us. We do what we want to do.
When would the talks need to conclude before you might do military?
I can't really be specific, but when you start talks, if they're going along well or not. And I would say the conclusion would be when I think they're not going along well. So that's just a feeling.
Mr. President, on the subject of U.S. troops stationed in Europe, do you have any plans to reduce the number of U.S. troops in Europe or in other NATO countries?
Well, good. I mean, it depends. We pay for military over in Europe. We don't get reimbursed by much. South Korea too. So it'll be one of the things we discuss. That's unrelated to trade, but I think we'll make it part of it because it makes sense. Be nice to wrap it all up in one package for each country. It's nice and clean, and we have plenty of law firms. These are great law firms that we signed with, the best. And I think part of way I'll spend some of the money that we're getting from the law firms, you know, in terms of their legal time, will be, if we can do it, I think we can do it, using these great law firms to represent us with regard to the many, many countries that we'll be dealing with. We'll have good lawyers representing us, but we want to have good lawyers, and these are the best, considered the best lawyers in the world, right? I mean, considered the best in the world. I don't know. They just went off a little bit.
Mr. President, two questions. On Iran, do you have an update on who will be participating or conducting these conversations? We could be there on Saturday for these direct talks. And on China, some economists are saying that right now is technically embargo on China with 125% tariffs. Are you concerned of escalation beyond the trade war with China?
No, I'm not concerned. I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both. But, you know, we've been treated so badly for so many years. Again, we allowed that to happen. We've been treated so badly for so many years. But no, I don't expect that. I think President Xi is one of the very smart people of the world, and I don't think he'd allow that to happen. And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, even not even close. So nobody's going to do that. But I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just in terms of basic escalation, which is what you said, no, I think that President Xi is a man who knows exactly what has to be done. He's a very smart man. He loves his country. I know that for a fact. I know him very well. And I think he's going to want to get to a deal. I think that's going to happen. We'll get a phone call at some point, and it'll be off to the races. It'll be a great thing for them. It'll be a great thing for us. It's going to be a great thing for the world and for humanity.
Do you have plans to meet with Putin in Saudi Arabia?
At some point, I will. At some point. We'll have to see. I mean, we have to get there right now. You know, we got to get there. In the meantime, they're losing 2,500 on average young people every single week. Think of that. 2,500 people a week. It's not even conceivable. We got to get there fast.
Do you think
A couple of more. Yes.
you have to increase tariffs on China even more before they come to the table or give you a
I
phone call?
can't imagine it. No, I can't imagine. I don't think so. I don't think I'll have to do it. I don't think we'll have to do it more. We calculated it very carefully. By the way, when you hear 100, a lot of people charge much more than that. Canada charges much more than that to our farmers, our dairy farmers. Many people charge much more than 100 or 125 in this case. But I don't, it's still a significant number. I don't see that again.
On the investigations.
Yeah, Mr. President. So do you think some of your tariff critics would prefer, to see the United States go through turmoil than to actually see it succeed just because they are your policies?
You mean just leave the tariffs the way they are now and just relax, right? Some people have said that. Look, again, we're making, it'll be soon, much more than $2 billion a day. That's not the worst thing that I've ever heard. So, yeah, some people say that. But, we look at the other side, too. I think as the United States, we have an obligation to look also at the other side. We want what's good for everyone. I mean, it's America first, but we also want to make sure there's a world that can live happily and all of that. And so, this is the way I look. No, but there are people that say, look, where we are now, I've been in worse positions in my life than making $2 billion a day plus, right? It's really plus. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press. Head it out.
Thank you.
Or the markets are what really changed your mind when it came to
The markets right now are extremely good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Press. Thank you. Head it out. Thank you, guys. Here, this way. Right this way. Thank you. Keep going. Keep going. Thank you.
En directo termina la rueda de prensa. La comparecencia del presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, después de firmar una serie de órdenes ejecutivas, ha vuelto a repasar la actualidad internacional y nos dejaba en los últimos minutos uno de los principales titulares de esa rueda de prensa. Ha dicho que Irán no puede tener un arma nuclear y que incluso se plantearían, de no alcanzar un acuerdo con el país, una intervención militar en Teherán en la que participaría Israel. Esa es una última hora importante a esta hora. Estados Unidos se plantea una intervención militar en Irán si no hay un acuerdo con el país, un acuerdo que lleva pidiendo tiempo Donald Trump, que ha enviado una carta que ha sido respondida por Teherán. De hecho, Teherán ha aceptado conversaciones indirectas. Viendo lo que está pasando en la actualidad internacional, Donald Trump también ha dicho que no se esperaba un impacto tan grande de esa pausa arancelaria de 90 días e insiste en que habrá acuerdo con China porque asegura que Xi Jinping es una persona muy inteligente, pero dice que el presidente chino no sabe por dónde empezar a conversar. También ha insistido en que es necesaria una paz duradera y lo antes posible entre Rusia y Ucrania. Pues pendientes de esas últimas horas, lo que tenemos que contarles es cómo ha despedido la jornada de hoy Wall Street, porque ha sido una despedida, un cierre completamente histórico para el mercado de renta variable norteamericano. Lo que les contamos concretamente de ese cierre de Wall Street es que el mercado bursátil en Estados Unidos ha registrado su tercera mayor ganancia de la historia tras la Segunda Guerra Mundial, tras ese cambio radical de postura de Donald Trump sobre los aranceles. Yendo más concretamente a los índices de renta variable norteamericanos, les contamos que el S&P 500 ha cerrado con una subida del 9,5%. Hablamos de la mayor ganancia porcentual en un día desde el 28 de octubre del año 2008. En el caso del índice SP, eso era S&P 500, en el caso del índice Nasdaq, subida al cierre del 12,16%, en este caso la mayor subida porcentual en un día desde el 3 de enero de 2021 y la segunda mayor registrada en la historia. Y Dow Jones de Industriales, no nos olvidamos de él, porque en este caso no ha hecho récord histórico, pero sí hay que destacar un cierre cercano a los 3.000 puntos de subida, 2.792 puntos al cierre, con una revalorización del 7,4% y 44.438 puntos. Cierre histórico en la renta variable norteamericana que ha conseguido en una sola jornada borrar de un plumazo gran parte de las caídas experimentadas desde que Donald Trump anunció los aranceles en el Liberation Day. Si miramos por compañías, ese índice S&P 500 que ha marcado máximos desde 2008, vemos como compañías como Microchip ha despedido con avances superiores al 27%, Delta con avances superiores al 23% o United Airlines, sector aviación, con subidas superiores al 26%. En el índice Nasdaq ha liderado las ganancias al cierre, Booking con avances del 10%. No ha sido Booking con ganancias, ha sido MicroStrategy con subidas del 24%, pero es que Tesla ha conseguido una revalorización del 23% en el cierre de sesión. Y en Dow Jones de Industriales ha liderado ganancias al cierre Intel con un avance del 18% y también Boeing con subidas del 15%. Así que de esta forma es como despedimos una jornada histórica en el mercado con unos índices de renta variable norteamericanos que recuperan de un plumazo gran parte del terreno perdido en los últimos días tras el Liberation Day, con un mercado bursátil que, repetimos, registra la tercera mayor subida de la historia tras la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Decía Donald Trump que le ha extrañado esa reacción tan sumamente intensa del mercado. Así es como despedimos esta jornada de programación especial en Negocios Televisión. Mañana volveremos con toda la actualidad informativa. Gracias por acompañarnos.
¿Qué cuento quieres hoy? ¿Te cuento uno de los míos? ¿El del farmacéutico? ¿O el de María, la abogada?
El de Ana, la arquitecta.
Vale. Eres una niña que soñaba con crear los edificios más impresionantes de la Tierra. Se pasaba el día dibujándolos. Sabía que algún día acabarían llegando a lo más alto de cada ciudad. Y que cualquier persona...
Cada profesional tiene detrás una historia increíble. Creer en ella es lo que de verdad cuenta. Arquia Banca, el banco de los profesionales.
El futuro te está llamando. En menos de 15 minutos puedes estar operando con futuros sobre Nasdaq, SP, oro y mucho más con AvaTrade, un broker que habla tu idioma. Descubre las ventajas de AvaTrade y disfruta de hasta 100 operaciones sin comisiones. Registro rápido y sencillo, transacciones instantáneas, operaciones seguras. El futuro comienza ahora. AvaTrade.
En O2 trabajamos para que todo funcione a la perfección, sin obligarte a que te quedes si no quieres, conectándote a toda velocidad en casa y en el móvil. Y si las tarifas mejoran, lo hacen primero para nuestros clientes. Siente la tranquilidad de haber elegido bien. O2. Respira.
¿Te preocupa que tu inquilino no pague el alquiler? Sabemos que esto puede ser un desafío. Aunque los gastos son fáciles de calcular, el verdadero reto es gestionar la falta de pago por parte del inquilino. SEAC te ofrece una garantía de